in clothing cleaning, and I have amendment nature of substitute. That's it. It's already out. They already got it. Great. The only difference.
Refresh my memory. The bill's on.
Check 2423. HB 2423. The only difference between the bill and the amendment is the nature of enforcement. The rest of the code is the same. It looks like a bunch of added language, but there's just really just one line added on page 6, and it basically says that it's enforced under the Virginia Consumer Protection Act, which VDAX felt was a better way to enforce the bill. The Attorney General felt was a better way to enforce the bill. They took no position on the bill, but they felt that was a better way to enforce it. So I'd like to get the amendment. You know, if you have to describe more about that.
Does everyone have the amendment? Does everyone have a substitute in front of them?
Move the substitute.
That is a motion to adopt substitute. All those in favor say aye. Ayes, same sign. Substitute before us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. So, HB 2423 deals with gender discrimination in dry cleaning. It was brought to me by a constituent who's here today, Kenzie Leach, and we've got a couple other people who testify about it. Basically, when people go to get their dry cleaning or other cleaning done, particularly when women go, we all understand that some items of clothing do cost more to clean. Some take a greater amount of time, some are more difficult. Everyone understands that a wedding dress is going to cost more to clean than a room cuts. So some gender discrimination is perfectly valid. Other discrimination isn't valid. The cost of a men's suit versus the cost of a woman's suit, the cost of women's shirts versus men's shirts, there really shouldn't be a reason charged that's different. Everybody, just anecdotally, every woman I've talked to about this bill says, oh yeah, that's a huge problem, it's a big deal. And every man I've talked to about this bill has said, oh, is that an issue? But thankfully I have a woman in my district who brought this to me. What the bill does is it would have VDAX, the Virginia Department of Agricultural and Consumer Service, would basically designate regs to say, this is fair, that costs more, at least it's more expensive, and this isn't. Women's suit, men's suit should be the same price. They told me they could convene a working group, they do it for much more complex things like pesticides and milk pasteurization. They could be a working group, they get together dry cleaners and cleaners and consumer advocates and figure out, hey, this costs more, this doesn't cost more. They basically would just develop the regs. Enforcement would be under the Consumer Protection Act. And that basically allows people to go to court and say, hey, you're discriminating. Now, the nature of how it would really work, as I foresee this, is some attorney, or maybe some person would write a letter and say, hey, you're violating the law, and I would take 99% of the time the dry cleaner would get in right with the law, charge the same price for men and women for the same kinds of things under the regs, and that would fix it, and no one would have to go to court at all. In particularly egregious situations, the Attorney General and the Consumer Protection Act can bring enforcement, but that's the heart of the bill, and unless there are any questions, I'd love to bring my constituents up to say why they think it is.
Okay. First, did anyone on the committee who has a question on the page? This time, all right. Delegate Levine, we're going to focus this up.
My constituent, Kenzie Leach.
Hello, as Delegate, my name is Kenzie Leach. I'd like to thank the subcommittee and Delegate Levine for allowing me to be here today, and my supervisor at work, because when I told her I wanted to come to Richmond and talk about price discrimination and dry cleaning, she said, absolutely, that annoys me too. So, here I am. I've been patronizing my local dry cleaner for about 9 years, when one day when I was picking up a simple cotton work dress, when I was going to pay $12, I overheard the cashier tell a man picking up a two-piece suit that his suit was only going to be about $10. And that for the first item, and then thereafter it's only $1.95. When I asked the employee why women pay more than men for the exact same service, the employee couldn't tell me why. And of course, there is no good reason why. I understand charging different prices when there's more expertise or time involved to provide service. So, for example, in garment-specific cases like wedding dresses versus, wool skirts. And, for example, a men's silk tuxedo would cost more than the dress I'm wearing right now to clean. That makes perfect sense. Likewise, when I'm getting my hair cut, I understand if long, thick, wavy hair takes more time to cut than straight, short hair. That price discrimination absolutely makes sense. That price discrimination makes sense.
However, given that a women's long sleeve blouse isn't much different than a man's shirt, why am I being charged more than 2.5 times the amount just because the buttons are on the opposite side? This is bad for small business because I started using another dry cleaner that charges a flat rate for all items, but the inherent unfairness of this price disparity bothered me. It's discrimination, plain and simple. The price disparity benefits no one. It's bad for women, and it's invisible to men, and it shouldn't be allowed in Virginia. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else wish to speak in support of the bill?
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for allowing me this opportunity to speak with you today about this significant issue. I am Dr. Elizabeth Hendricks, and I'm an Alexandria, Virginia resident. And 2 years ago, I moved to Alexandria from Alabama. And I have to say that my first impression of Virginia was gender-based pricing discrimination with the laundry services. And I had to have a suit cleaned, so I went to the dry cleaner closest to my home in Alexandria, Virginia. And I'm going to read verbatim to you my online review that I posted about this Virginia cleaner 2 years ago. I think it speaks volumes that I didn't notice this sort of discrimination in the state of Alabama. And believe me, don't get me wrong, we have a lot of discrimination here. But I was shocked to find it here in Virginia. I took in a suit, a dress and jacket that matched as a suit, and their suit price is listed as $13.50. However, I was charged $22 for the suit. I questioned them about the price twice because it is a suit. They would not change my charge to the suit price, but instead they overcharged me with the $22 amount, stating that the dress was not short. Well, slacks in a suit are not short either. If you want to overpay for dry cleaning, use this business. If you want to pay a fair price, use another dry cleaner. Now they wanted to talk about length. Well, I'm only 5 foot 2 inches tall. I know many men who tower over me who have much more cloth in their garments and their suits than me with mine. So I felt like that was a non-issue. So basically I felt like I'm getting unequal pay with unequal prices here. And after 2 years, you know what I discovered? That was a common practice throughout all the dry cleaners in Alexandria, not just the one closest to my house. Now yesterday, I was really disappointed that the Equal Rights Amendment bills were killed in committee. At least today, we have this bill from Delegate Levine that would help women face less discrimination and pricing in Virginia. And it would help them with one small sliver. Thank you so much for supporting this bill to end pricing discrimination in Virginia. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of the bill?
Yes, my name is Diane Schreer, and I also live in Alexandria. 40% of all households in this country are run by single-parent mothers. I have a larger percentage are two parents where they need both incomes. Pricing discrimination of any sort hurts this whole country financially, hurts Virginia financially. They need the incomes. When small businesses, of course, are entitled to set their own prices. Nobody is arguing that. But they are not entitled to discriminate between men and women. The same shirt should not cost differently because the buttons are on the other side. Suits are suits. Price them fairly for both men and women. That's all we're asking for. I have a son, 2 daughters, a son-in-law, and a granddaughter. They all get clothes dry cleaned at times. The difference in price is dramatic between my son and son-in-law and between my daughters. This is a situation that is an easy fix. It is fair to all Virginians. Financially, it makes common sense. Let's take care of this issue now. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak in favor of the bill? Anyone? All right, there's a question from Delegate Levine for the patron.
Yes.
Are there any other states that have legislation in this code?
I know that California has this. There may be others.
You have a question for the committee? Anyone in opposition to the bill?
Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, Kate Baker on behalf of Virginia Retail Federation. We oppose this legislation due to the burden it places on our members. They base their pricing on material, and what the clothes are, and our members feel that they should be able to determine their own prices.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Nicole Rowley with NFIB representing small business owners, and we too oppose the legislation. We just believe that this is really a far government overreach into the pricing of a particular industry, and we oppose the bill. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman. Delegate Scott.
Yes, either Nicole, because she's probably talking to a lot of these girl people. You know, I'm sort of one that is of a mind that lets the market work on this thing, but you know, my dad used to do dry cleaning when he ran his former rental shop. But for the life of me, I've never been able to figure out why it is that women's clothes tend to be more expensive, even though some men's clothes, you know, some men's shirts are pretty elaborate. You gotta be careful about buttons, you gotta be careful about cuffing. I don't quite understand it. In some ways, it seems like a market opportunity for a dry cleaning place to come in and start offering services for a lot less money for women, but
Well,
I don't get it. So-
Well, I think that's kind of our point, is that, you know, our members they would set the prices to their market and to their customers and how they want to attract customers. I also think there potentially could be a volume issue. A lot of times you see where when men are needed, you know, practically nobody irons anymore. So I think some of it sometimes also relates to the volume of things. I do think they take into account the types of material and the amount of care that they take with the clothing. So that, I mean, those are some of the things that we've heard from our members. And I think they just feel that, you know, whether they can, they try to offer, you know, discounts and ways to attract customers. And clearly people can go to other dry cleaners, do Yelp reviews, or do whatever they would prefer to do based on, you know, the type of service that they're getting from their business.
I'll have a question, please.
Delegate Scott.
So, yeah, and I understand, you know, that you don't, you've got so many different kinds of blouses that you don't get the volume as you do with, you know, a straight shirt, the man's shirt. But I just find that even shirts, women's blouses that look like men's shirts also cost the same, cost more. So I don't understand that. Do you have any insight about that, other than they just set their prices of whatever they want?
I don't have much of an insight on that, no, sir, other than just that they set their prices.
Okay, I have one question for the delegate.
Delegate Scott.
So how would you prove it?
So,
Is it prima facie?
so VGACs would work with dry cleaners to find out whether there's legitimate time and cost and difficulty. So if it legitimately costs more, they would have a reg that says, and you know, regs can be very detailed. We have detailed regs on pesticides and pasteurization. If there's, I don't know, 3 folds or lace or whatever, you can charge more. But if, in the example you gave, the women, the shirt is, it's a regulation, so it would define collar size or whatever it is, you know, but it would define exactly what's a fair charge and what's not. I think the clearest example, frankly, is suits. Suits are not that different, a men's suit and a women's suit. I don't think it takes much care. To me, that's a clear example of price discrimination. And again, a clear example of fair price discrimination would be a wedding dress. I mean, everyone knows that's more expensive than a tux. So VGACs would talk with the stakeholders, figure out fair and appropriate regs, define them, and then all a dry cleaner has to do is say, all right, we can't charge a different price for suits, but we can charge a different price for dresses. And so, and then, the enforcement. So that would be the reg. And then to enforce it, the Consumer Protection Act would let you, anyone could look at the regs and say, hey, suits that fit this description, you can't charge a difference. And they are. So, you know, if or the Attorney General could bring suit, but my guess is the informal way would be 99% of the time the way it goes.
Any other questions by the committee? Delegate Board.
I guess my question sort of piggybacks on Delegate Toscano's about how you would go about enforcing this, because I think there is this provision that says nothing prohibits price differences on time, difficulty, cost of providing apparel cleaning services. So, first question,
So VDACs, the Virginia Department of Agricultural Consumer Services, would determine, based on stakeholder groups and dry cleaners and advocates and the way they do it, frankly, for pesticides or other things, they would say, all right, it does cost more to clean this. And it doesn't cost more to clean that. So they would have a list of, you can't discriminate for these things, and you can't discriminate for these things. And they would make the list, and to the extent that, people disagree, that, regs can change, unlike code, and they we trust them to figure it out, with everyone's stakeholders involved, with each particular apparel, and in that kind of detail. And then a customer could look at the reg and say, oh, well, they can't discriminate on suits, so, hey, dry cleaner, look at this reg, you can't do that. And presumably the vast majority of them don't want to be in trouble with the law and would just fix it. And for the few recalcitrant people who's like, no, I'm going to do it anyway, the Virginia Consumer Protection Act would allow someone to file a small claim or other claim to say, been damaged, and you can get attorney's fees, and that's all in the Virginia Consumer Protection Act. But my guess is the vast majority of people would resolve it informally, and that would be my goal.
Mr. Chair. I guess now for you is there a representative from the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services here that might be able to?
I know they've taken no position on the bill. We talked about that. Oh, yes, sir. Oh, okay. Did not notice you. Sorry.
I guess the same question. How do you all envision this working? Is this a workable solution, or is this something that might need to be ironed out?
To be honest with you, I think falling back on what Delegate Levine said, we have no expertise in this area, so it would take a stakeholder group. I'm not real sure how we would implement this, how we would go about when it was time to enforce the regulation. Even though that part has been taken out, I think there could be some investigation that would need to be done. And at this point, we're unclear how that would transpire.
Any other questions or comments,
Maybe this, I don't know whether it's for VDACs or the delegate or council. Does the Consumer Protection Act, as it's currently constituted, does it provide for causes of action for these types of things already?
I mean, it's got 52 parts in it that it provides where you find you've been mistreated as a consumer and you can sue. It is true that VDACs, and the reason I submitted the amendment, said they don't want to do enforcement of it because that's not really what they do, the enforcement aspect. And that would be done by the private right, Consumer Protection Act, or again, if it's egregious, the Consumer Protection Act allows the Attorney General to enforce it. That's why I changed the enforcement provision. Their role would just be develop the regs, and then people would enforce it through self-help or
Any follow-up questions? Okay. There was quite a bit of discussion that took place after the members of the audience had to weigh in, so does anyone else in the audience wish to address those concerns for or against? Okay. Adrian, is the last word.
I would just say the argument against it seems to be shrug, people do this. It's true, people do this. And some would say let the market decide. Well, sometimes people do things because that's the way they've been done. And you just heard one of my constituents say it's all over Alexander. You have to really search to find the one that doesn't do it. It seems to me if it's the same cost and they show that, then there should be no difference. And they can charge the same price. So I just think this is a concern. Like I said, virtually every woman I've talked to, a professional woman that gets their suits cleaned, says, yeah, this is a real problem. And I will admit, as a man, I was oblivious to my constituent, Kinsey Leach. I kind of vaguely knew this happened, but so I think sometimes men don't necessarily get it. But again, whatever your vote on this bill, talk to the women in your life, and I think you'll find that this is pretty prevalent throughout the Commonwealth.
Thank you, Dr. Dean. Motion would be in order. I believe the bill stays in the rest of the committee for lack of motion delivery.
All right, thank you everyone for your time.
So while you're